Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Chronically podcast. I'm your host, Aimee Esther, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about how to handle the overwhelm. If you live chronically ill like me and are looking for more purpose, control, and joy in your life, then you are in the right place. This is the podcast that challenges your thinking around chronic illness so you can live the most amazing life despite extra challenges. Are you ready? Let's go. As I have coached my clients, I get this question so much. How do I stop feeling overwhelmed? How do I get everything done on my to-do list? Because there's always more that adds to our to-do list. There's always more that we want to do, that our brains are saying, you should do this. And then we get sick and we're not able to accomplish that task. Or we just are feeling lazy that day. Or we had something come up and we weren't able to finish the task that we want to. And we end up feeling overwhelmed. And this is a common feeling. I think all of us feel this. It could be overwhelmed from things to do. It could be overwhelmed from emotions that we've piled on ourselves, from things that are going on around us that are a real struggle. Maybe we're overwhelmed with trying to get a diagnosis and going to doctors and trying different treatments. We feel overwhelmed with these things, and it's so hard to deal with. Now, oftentimes, there are practical solutions that people talk about for feeling overwhelmed. Things like do some yoga or take some deep breaths, do some meditation or some therapy, get good at saying no, set boundaries, ask for help, wake up earlier in order to get more done, stay up later to get more done, write things down on a to-do list and get things out of your head and onto paper. Or take things off your list. You have so much on your list, you need to take some off. And then specifically when you live chronically ill, there's practical things that can help. For example, if you feel overwhelmed with keeping your house clean, doing little things at a time can help you feel less overwhelmed. I do think that you can do some things that will help that overwhelm, but I don't think that's the core problem. The core problem is our brains. Our brains have thoughts that make us feel overwhelmed. If you've taken my course, you know that the way we are thinking creates our emotions. That is why we feel the way we do. And so we need to figure out, why are we feeling overwhelmed? Not just try to put a Band-Aid on it, not just try to change one little thing we're doing or take something off our to-do list. What if instead we figured out how to stop the overwhelm in general, or at least lessen the overwhelm? If we're human beings, it might be hard to completely shut out forever because we have human brains that are imperfect. But if we can figure out why we're doing this, it can help us in the future to feel less overwhelmed. Did you know it's possible to not feel overwhelmed and have a huge long to-do list that you didn't do anything on? I can have 20 things on my to-do list. I can knock off 0 of those things today and I cannot feel overwhelmed. It is possible. It's possible to go to a doctor and have them tell you 10 different things that could be your illness and you're trying to find a diagnosis and not feel overwhelmed. It's possible for me to not feel overwhelmed as a young mom who's also pregnant, who also lives with multiple chronic illnesses, who is trying to run a small business, who is trying to keep her house in order, who is trying to teach her children. It is possible to not feel overwhelmed despite what we're going through, despite the actual events in our lives, despite the actual things on our to-do list. We don't have to feel overwhelmed about that. Does it help to take stuff off your to-do list? Yeah, that might help you. It might help your brain, but that's not the problem. The problem is our brains are feeling overwhelmed from the thoughts that they're having. So there's 2 things I really want to talk about today. And the first is our thoughts, and the second is our actions. I'd like to take a minute to talk about today's sponsor, HEALTHTAP. HEALTHTAP is a telemedicine company where you can talk to doctors 24/7 with their urgent care or by appointment with the doctor of your choice. I think HEALTHTAP is the perfect solution to someone who lives chronically ill because it's virtual. You can do it from your home. You can talk to your doctors from your home where you are safe and you don't have to use your energy and your precious time to get up and go to multiple doctor's appointments. As we all know, We have. You can connect with a doctor in minutes or schedule an appointment with the doctor of your choice. You can get personalized care by video chat or text your doctor anytime to get refills, clarify health goals, and ask questions. With the doctor I worked with on HEALTHTAP, we talked about some of my gut health, and she said that I could text her some of the foods that I was more sensitive to so she could go over that before our next appointment. And it's so easy to send a little text message to your doctor with follow-up questions. You can get a diagnosis, prescription, lab tests, referrals, and a treatment plan, all from the comfort of your own home. Get the care that's right for you, whether it's women's health, children's health, sexual health, men's health, chronic care, or wellness prevention and lifestyle. HEALTHTAP accepts hundreds of insurance plans to use for both urgent care and primary care visits. Enjoy savings and benefits with subscription. HEALTHTAP offers an inexpensive, convenient, and simple way to manage chronic illness and live your best life. If you subscribe and use the code AEPC, you get your first visit for free. Use my link in the description of the YouTube video version of this podcast or in the show notes on your favorite podcast app. Now let's get back to the episode. So overwhelm is an emotion, which means it comes from our thoughts, always. Now I have many details in my course about this idea that emotions come from thoughts, and it will change your life when you start to realize that all of the emotions we feel are not from our circumstances. They are from the thoughts we're having about our circumstances. So the course, I'm telling you, it will change your life. I have had so many people say, I wish I had taken this earlier because it's changed the way I'm thinking. The course that goes along with this podcast will really help you there. But for now, just know that your emotion of overwhelm comes from the way you're thinking. So let's take an example. Let's look at my closet. So if I look at my closet and it is in my mind this mess and it needs to be organized and I need to declutter it and I need to go and wash all the cabinets and I need to clean stuff. I need to go through it. Now, the state of my closet is not what creates the overwhelm. My husband can look at the exact same closet and not feel overwhelmed. He's having different thoughts about it. His thoughts are, I need to go get my jacket. I walk into my closet. If I find my jacket, great. If I don't, he comes and asks me, where's my jacket? That's it. His mind did not go to, wow, our closet's such a mess. I can't believe Aimee didn't clean it again. Are you kidding me? We need to just sit down and clean this. I can't believe we haven't done it. This is so overwhelming, right? He's not having those thoughts. I'm having those thoughts. And what I've noticed for me is oftentimes my thoughts that come for overwhelm, I make it about me. Do you remember our podcast about relationships? Go back and watch that one in how to handle when people don't understand your illness, because we talk in there about how we make stuff about us. And this is what I do. I make my closet being a mess about me. So I might look at my closet and think, my closet is such a mess. I can't believe I let it get this way. I am such a mess. I make it about me. My closet being a mess means that I am a mess. That's what I do. If I have this huge long to-do list, I think I have so much to do, I'm never going to be able to do this. And I might make it about my illness and say, my illness is causing me to not get all this stuff done. Now I feel overwhelmed. Or if I go to the doctor and I have multiple things that the doctor is asking me to do, I might feel overwhelmed with the diet and the supplements and the medications and the other treatments that he's trying to have me do. That might make me feel overwhelmed because I have thoughts about it like, I shouldn't have to go through this. My illness isn't fair, or I am mad at my doctor. He shouldn't make me go through all of this. He should take things slower. He should give me one thing at a time. We make it sometimes about ourselves, sometimes about something else, but really it's just the way we're thinking about it. The actual event, what someone says or doesn't say, what our closet looks like, what our to-do list looks like, that is neutral. It's not good or bad. It's not what creates the overwhelm. What creates the overwhelm is when we have thoughts like, I'm such a mess, I can't keep my closet clean. Or how did I let it get this way? Or I can't believe that my kids would let their closets get this way. And that's what creates the overwhelm, is these thoughts about it. So I want you to take a look at one thing in your life that you feel overwhelmed about. Maybe you start with something small, like your closet, that really, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really matter what your closet looks like, but it's something that makes you feel overwhelmed. Look at the thoughts you're having about it. Are you making it about you? Are you making it about your partner or about your children or about someone or something else? What is it that you are blaming this overwhelm on? Because we often do blame it on something else, because blaming things on someone else or something else is so much easier than taking ownership that we have control of our own lives. It's so much easier to say, my chronic illness won't let me go outside because of my heat intolerance, instead of taking that back and saying, no, I'm choosing to stay inside today because I do not like the symptoms that come with going outside. But I have a choice. I always have a choice. Always. And we always have the choice of being overwhelmed or not. It really is a choice. It sounds crazy, but a feeling of overwhelm, a feeling of anything is a choice. There are times where I want to feel a feeling. I want to feel sad if something really hard happened in my life. I want to feel angry, maybe if someone said something that I didn't like. There are things that I want to feel, but they're always a choice. All of our feelings are a choice. We don't have to feel anything. Nobody can force us to feel overwhelmed. Nothing in our lives can force us to feel overwhelmed. Me having a baby soon does not force me to feel overwhelmed. Me having thoughts that I don't know if I can handle this. What if my chronic illness flares up? What if I'm not able to take care of my children? What am I going to do when I don't sleep anymore, when I have a baby? Those thoughts are what create the overwhelm, not the fact of having a baby. Some people don't have those thoughts at all. My husband, not thinking about that. Doesn't cross his mind. So for me, it might be that I walk into my house and think this is such a mess. That makes me feel overwhelmed. When someone else might feel overwhelmed with their to-do list. Someone else might feel overwhelmed with the way people talk to them. Someone else might feel overwhelmed with their diagnosis, with their chronic illness. We all feel overwhelmed, just in different ways. And we got to see for us what thoughts are creating that overwhelm. Because I've just noticed for me, mine are often blaming, especially on myself. Blaming myself. Aimee, how could you let your to-do list get this long? How could you not be keeping up with this housework? How could you let your closet get this messy? How could you not stay on that diet like you promised you would? How could you overspend again this month? Aimee, this is your fault. And I find that I'm feeling overwhelmed because I'm blaming things on myself. And when I realize that, instead of saying, okay, I need to take stuff off my to-do list, although that might help, it might be better for me to say, Aimee, you need to work on not blaming yourself for things. If you stop blaming yourself for your closet being a mess, you won't feel overwhelmed about your closet. If you stop blaming yourself for not staying on your diet, you might actually stay on your diet. It's true. I know it sounds crazy, but it really does work. When you notice the toxic patterns of your thinking that are creating these emotions that you don't want, and toxic can mean anything to you. Whatever you don't like of your thinking, you can change. Whatever I don't like of my thinking, I can change. There are things that you might do that I'm like, that's not a big deal. Who cares if you think that? Who cares if you feel that? And to you, it's this big deal. And it makes your life much harder. And that's how I feel with overwhelm. When I think thoughts that bring on overwhelm, I feel worse. I feel less than. I'm already having these thoughts of, why did I do this to myself? This is all my fault. And then I feel the overwhelm, and then it just piles on top, and I feel even worse. What you do or what you don't do does not define you as a person. What you do or what you don't do does not change your value as a human. No matter what you get done on your to-do list or not, or what diets you stay on or not, or if you're good with the supplements you're taking or whatever it is that your doctor asks you to do, whether you get a diagnosis today or tomorrow or never, that does not lessen your value as a human. What you do or do not do does not change that. And if you realize that, you're going to feel less overwhelmed. If you realize that your to-do list doesn't matter, it really doesn't. If you get everything done, great. That's awesome. I'm proud of you. It probably feels pretty good to get stuff done, to accomplish a task. If you don't, guess what? You're still a perfectly valuable human being. Nothing can change that. So take a minute to look at your thoughts. What thoughts bring you overwhelmed? And typically I see that there's a pattern, whether it's my closet or my to-do list or my chronic illness or having a baby, whatever it is, I always see a pattern in myself. Like I mentioned, mine is typically blaming myself. And I see this pattern. And when I combat that pattern and I start fighting against that pattern, instead of fighting against the things I can do to stop the overwhelm, I'm going to feel better. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about today, we look at our thoughts and then we look at our actions. What actions are we taking? Now, I know I said that there's practical things you can do, but I don't think that's the real problem. But I don't want you to look at the things that you are not doing. I don't want you to look at, hey, I have this to-do list, but I should be taking stuff off my to-do list. I have this closet to clean and I should be cleaning my closet. I'm not cleaning it. I want you to instead look at what are you doing from the feeling of overwhelm, because it's so interesting to see. For me, let's take the closet example. I think I should clean up my closet. It's such a mess. I can't believe I'm such a mess for not cleaning out my closet. And then I feel overwhelmed. What is the action that I take? My action when I feel overwhelmed is to do nothing. Isn't that interesting? When I feel overwhelmed about my closet, I don't clean out my closet. Interesting, right? When I feel overwhelmed about my to-do list, I do less on my to-do list. When I feel overwhelmed, I want to go watch TV instead and stop feeling overwhelmed. How funny is that? Even though, logically, it makes a lot more sense to clean out my closet to stop myself from feeling overwhelmed, my action when I feel overwhelmed is the opposite. We are so often looking at what are we not doing that is causing this overwhelm. No. I want you to look at what is the overwhelm causing you to do? What are you doing because of that overwhelm? For me, it's usually nothing. It's usually avoidance. It's usually run away. It's usually numb the emotion of overwhelm with something else. That's what I do with my overwhelm. So what do you do? What do you do when you feel overwhelmed? What do you notice about that thought that you have that creates your overwhelm? And then you do something about it. I promise you will notice funny things that you do when you feel an emotion such as overwhelm. That doesn't really make sense. It makes no sense why feeling overwhelmed about my messy closet causes me to avoid my closet, to stop looking at it. I shut the door and I avoid going in there at all costs. I want to not think about it as much as possible. Instead of, obviously, cleaning out my closet would make me feel less overwhelmed, right? Isn't that interesting? And I want you to notice that once you realize the action you're taking, like for me, avoiding my closet, not cleaning it out, doing everything I can to not go by my closet when I feel overwhelmed about my closet, that it's easier to change my thinking when I realize that. When I realize that's what I'm doing, it's almost funny. It's comical to see that my brain is trying to protect me from this overwhelm when in reality, it's just making it worse. Because if I avoid it, the next day it's just going to be worse. If I avoid my closet every time I see it, I'm going to feel more overwhelmed than the last time. It's very interesting to see in yourself. So for the closet example, when I start to notice that, Aimee, when you feel overwhelmed by your closet, you do less. I start to laugh about it. I think that doesn't make any sense. And I realize, what if instead of avoiding my closet, next time I feel overwhelmed, I'm going to go and do one thing. I'm going to clean out one drawer. I'm going to just take stock of what I want to do. I'm going to make a list of the things I want to do in that closet. There's going to be something I can do. Even if I'm not feeling good, even if I'm having a flare-up, there is something I can do. So what if my action, when I felt overwhelmed, instead of avoiding it and pushing it away and trying to hide from it, was to do one small thing? It makes so much more sense to walk into my closet and say, I'm going to pick one thing to donate today. One thing. I don't have to clean things out. I don't have to do this huge thing. I'm going to pick one thing to donate. Yeah, I'm having a flare-up. I feel terrible. I don't have the energy to do the whole thing. But guess what? I feel less overwhelmed if I do one tiny thing than if I just avoid my closet. And the same thing with a to-do list. What if I'm feeling overwhelmed for my to-do list and then I notice these thoughts I'm having where I'm making it about me and I'm getting all frustrated about this to-do list that I have and being annoyed at all the things and the people who need me, and I start to feel overwhelmed? What if instead of, okay, I don't want to think about this anymore, I'm just going to go watch a movie or I'm just going to go do something else so I can numb the overwhelm? What if instead I notice, oh, look at this funny action I'm taking where I'm not doing anything. Look at these interesting thoughts I'm having where I'm making it about me, even though what I do actually has nothing to do with my value in the world. So that's interesting. How about instead, today I'm just going to pick the smallest, tiniest thing off my list and get that done. And even if I'm feeling so sick, I promise you there is something you can do. I see this when it comes to like my podcast and YouTube channel. When I feel overwhelmed, like, oh, I have to get a video done and I'm not going to be able to do it and I'm feeling really sick today, then I use my illness as an excuse for not doing anything. And I realize the actions I'm taking. I realize the thoughts I'm having and how silly they are and how they don't make any sense. And I'm laying there on the couch in so much pain. And I think I'm feeling overwhelmed from this YouTube video. Wait a second, there's something I can do. I can sit here on my couch and I can write out notes for my next video. I can sit here and ponder what the next video is going to be about. I can voice record myself saying 3 video ideas for the future. It takes me no energy, no time. I can do that. There's always something you can do, but I really think that is way harder to do until you notice what thoughts and actions you are taking with the overwhelm. Because if you're not noticing those, then you're still only taking action because you're trying to push away the overwhelm. No, I am fine with feeling overwhelmed. That's not a problem. I don't need to not feel overwhelmed. It makes sense that I'd feel overwhelmed based on the thoughts I'm having. And isn't it funny that I'm taking these actions and look at it with curiosity? Then I am more likely to not only do something and then feel less overwhelmed, but actually want to do something, not just forcing myself to because I'm trying to push away this overwhelm. One more thing I want to mention in this overwhelm episode is someone once told me, Aimee, you always talk in commas. What if you started talking in periods? Now, what this person meant by this was when somebody asked me about my illness, for example, I have 900 things to say. I meet a new doctor and I'm like, okay, so I have POTS and it causes this and this and this symptom. And because of that, then I have a hard time standing up. And when I have a hard time standing up, it gives me migraines, I think, but I don't really know where my migraines are from, but I do have those chronic migraines. And then I also have these gut issues and I don't really know what makes me sick yet or not, but I feel like everything makes me sick and blah, blah, blah. Like it, I just keep going and I just word vomit all of this out. Clearly, that's why I have a YouTube channel. I word vomit all the things that I'm thinking. But what he said was, Aimee, I want you to talk in periods. So instead of, I have this, comma, let me tell you more about it, comma, and then that, because of that, it causes this, comma. What if you just said, I have multiple chronic illnesses, period. Now, I'm not saying if you go to a new doctor, that's the best thing to do. I think you should tell them all the things about your illness. But when you're talking to yourself or when you're looking at your to-do list, what if we stopped for a second and noticed all the commas in our brain, in the thoughts that we're having, in the conversations that we're having when we're feeling overwhelmed? Notice all the commas because I think about just my closet example. I walk into my closet and I'm like, oh, Aimee, you're such a mess. You cannot keep your closet together. And my brain does not stop at closet. When I start feeling overwhelmed about the closet, I keep the commas going and I keep talking about other stuff in my brain to myself. I keep saying, oh, Aimee, you can't keep your closet together. You're such a mess. Oh, and I can't believe you didn't make dinner today again and your kids ate mac and cheese for dinner. You are such a mess. Oh, Aimee, and you're so behind on laundry. Maybe we should do the laundry first before we do the closet. Oh, no, but then we're also... You see that your brain will just keep going. Instead, let's stop that. Let's stop our brain and say, my closet is a mess. I would like to clean out my closet, period. Done. We don't need to continue the conversation with ourselves. We're done. We know that makes us feel overwhelmed. We know that when we're feeling overwhelmed, we shut down, we avoid, we run away. Notice that stuff, but keep it in periods. Don't extend that to all the things. And like I said before, oftentimes when we feel overwhelmed, it's in patterns. All of my patterns are, I make it about me. I make it about how I'm not good enough, how I'm a mess, how I will never be able to stand up to my to-do list and to my closet and to all the things, right? Because everything's connected in our brains. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep those commas going. We're going to keep adding statements to it and keep finding evidence why we are a mess and why this is true, that we just can't get a handle on our lives, which guess what? makes us feel more overwhelmed? What if we stopped and said, today we're going to talk to ourselves in periods, not commas. When I hear my brain start to trail out of the closet and into my chronic illness and into my doctors and into my to-do list and into my work and into my spouse and into my kids. No, we're just going to work on the closet right now, mentally. Like, even if we don't even go pick something up, what if we just stopped at the closet? The closet looks like a mess today, period. That's it. And again, the closet is a mess statement. It's not even true. The truth is there are 10 pairs of pants on the floor. The truth is there is dust on the top shelf. The truth is not my closet is a mess. Someone else would walk in and think my closet looked amazing, and they would think, holy cow, this girl has so much stuff. She is so blessed. I'm so jealous of her because she has this overflowing closet. When I walk in, I think my closet is a mess, right? That's not even true. So the fact that I not only take that statement and I tell myself it's true, and I then make it mean something about me, and then I add all these commas, all these extra statements that go along with my closet being a mess and me being a mess, it's just ridiculous, right? And that is why I think just noticing the way we are thinking and the actions we are taking from the overwhelm is where we find the leverage to take that away. Because it's true, the way that my closet looks is not what creates the overwhelm. The things that the doctor says does not create the overwhelm. The diagnosis that you have or don't have do not create the overwhelm. It is your own brain. It's your own thinking that is creating that. And when we notice that, we can change it. And I'm not saying it's easy to snap your fingers and change your thinking. Like I said, I have an entire course on how to change your thinking to teach you how to do that. It takes time. And the first step is to notice it and honestly to laugh at it. Do you know how many times I laugh at my brain? Every time I stop and think about my thoughts, it's funny. It's comical. The way that my brain thinks that everything's about me, and the way that it cannot stop at a period, and how it keeps going into this big long run-on sentence that doesn't make any sense, isn't true in the first place. So sure, try the practical solutions. If they work for you, great, but you're not addressing the problem. The problem is the way you're thinking about the things you have to do or the things in your life. That's always the problem. So take a look at your thoughts. Take a look at the actions that you do, not that you don't do, the actions that you are doing because of your feeling of overwhelm. And without taking any of the practical steps, I guarantee you will feel less overwhelmed. So give it a try. Let me know how it goes, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye. Hey friend, do you find value in this podcast but want to take it to the next level? Work with me one-on-one or check out Chronically Me, the course and workbook. This course takes the things you are learning on the podcast and helps you apply them directly to your life. This course dives deeper into changing your thinking, teaching you how the brain works and how to maximize your life with chronic illness. I designed this course as a companion to the podcast. The podcast gives specific, real-world examples, and the course helps you put them into action. If you want personalized one-on-one help from me, I got you. I also offer individual coaching programs where we can talk about the problems you are facing. I'll help you manage your brain and find solutions to nearly every problem that you have. We will walk hand in hand on this journey together. Check the show notes or the video description on YouTube for more information on getting extra help from me. Talk to you soon.